I noticed a couple months ago in Plaza Midwood that probably around 12:30, 1 o'clock, I noticed in front of Petra's Lounge that there was two, I guess you might say, peacocks, walking together. I thought that was a good idea. I hadn't seen them lately, but my question is, are you still using that type of patrol, or are you going to expand that type of patrol in areas like Noda, Plaza Midwood, Uptown? I thought it was a pretty good idea because this way these officers can get out amongst us and converse with us and understand who we are.
That's always a strategy. It comes in different forms and fashions. Some are beat officers, some are bicycle officers. We're going through a process now where we're going to purchase a number of smaller 450, 500cc motorcycles that would allow officers to get through apartment complexes, shopping centers, and things of that nature. We're always looking for ways to put ourselves closer to the community. But it's a very labor-intense process. Putting an officer out on foot is very labor-intensive because they can only cover a certain area over a certain period of time. Bicycles, you're able to cover a little bit more area. Motorcycle, you're able to expand it so you can get to a vehicle where you just climb up and down the street. We do like to slow our officers down sometimes, but again, it's based on us being able to keep officers in the neighborhood, creating a greater sense of visibility. Because not only are we trying to fight crime itself, but we're trying to fight the fear of crime. And the fear of crime, sometimes the only way that you can fight the fear of crime is through visibility. A year and a half ago, we instituted a take-home vehicle program. We put 150 cars of officers that live in the city to allow them to take them home, to take them to the grocery store, to take them to the movie theater, so that we can create a greater sense of visibility in the city. Well, I wish I had more cars, yeah, but visibility is high on our list.
Yesterday I was in a meeting with several people who were here, and the use of lifestyle came up again, as it has in previous conversations. And being LGBT is not a lifestyle. And somehow, somebody needs to get across to members of the police force that kind of language has all kinds of weight to it that needs to be handled somehow.
And when you ask me what do I, what can I ask, and part of that is understanding, because again, it's not something that I go out and select officers based on having that previous knowledge. So we're going to make those mistakes. We're not going to have the understanding to the level that you may think that we should, and the more that we may criticize one another for that, I think the further it may pull us apart. And we just have to find ways that we can all understand those issues and the right things to say that's going to bring us together. I just think that's going to take a little bit more than I almost sit here fearful that I avoid LGBT because I'm fearful that if I say it wrong, that I'm going to offend you. And I shouldn't have that feeling, so I avoid it.
But it's something as simple as he and she in some cases.
Yeah.
It is also a delicate area.
But you bring up an excellent point that it really is. You asked the question. You said, "How do we become resources?" It's through education. I mean, we, as much as communicating when there's crime against us that's of a hate crime nature, communicating with you, educating the young lady who has done such a wonderful job with her neighbor. It's one person at a time. Yes, you. And so really, we've got to look inwardly. There's a lot of positiveness going on in this conversation, and this should only be the start of it. And what I'm hearing is not that there's necessarily going to be a formal liaison, but I hear very strongly that that liaison is starting today, and we have an opportunity. And so we have to give you, you have to hear our voice, and we have to be resources and offer ourselves up to you guys individually and groups in forums like this to help educate, and so that, and we kind of have to take away some of that pride, some of that mask of letting our feelings get hurt if the wrong words are used. You know what, if you don't say LGBT correctly, sometimes I don't, I'm not going to be offended. And we need to take on that kind of mentality.
And I think it already has started. We've already seen the relationship grow. And you've helped us. You've already helped us, you know, in an individual case, and helping us to understand some other things that's very, very challenging.
I want to comment on your comment about what the police department is doing with the mental health community. I'm in the mental health field, I work in the mental health field, and I was a part of the collaboration of community providers, the police department, and so forth, developed recovery solutions, and the CIT, crisis intervention team, training, and it's been absolutely wonderful to see that happen. The change in this community over the last 4 years in how the courts and the police and sheriff's department have looked at people with mental illness has been remarkable. I also want to comment on the work that it took to do that. There was a collaboration pulled together, I think four years ago now, with representatives from the police department, the sheriff's department, the public defender's office, the courts, and the mental health community as well, that worked together, met together every week for 2 years. And after 2 years of working together and kind of figuring out what we needed to do and what kind of training was needed in the community, then we began working with the police department, the sheriff's department, so forth. The crisis intervention team training was put into effect. The recovery solutions program was put into effect. My question to you is, I think that that's a model. That community development model is one that we might replicate. We've got to be willing to pull together and work together and really work hard to do that. And my question to you is, would you lend your support to that kind of collaborative effort to develop the kind of training that has been developed for police officers in the mental health community?
I wholeheartedly believe that, because I don't think that it's a single entity issue. I don't believe that crimes against people simply stop with police. That yes, you have to report the crime, you have to call the police, you have to report the crime to the police, we have to investigate it, but if in fact it goes further, then there's other parts of the criminal justice system that needs to be a part of it. And I think that that's an excellent idea to bring other elements of the criminal justice system together with the organization. I think we all need to be educated in that area. But part of that is sometimes the more you expand it, the longer it takes, the more difficult it becomes to move things forward. Sometimes starting out a little smaller and building as you go along may be another way.
One of the differences in that model, too, is that there's a large advocacy community for the mental illness. There's not for the LGBT community. We are our own advocates, which means it really puts the onus on us to advocate for ourselves and put together that kind of collaboration and do the hard work ourselves.
But just know that there's a willingness on the part of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department to move forward.
One here, then there, and then there.
Hi. You again.
Next time I'll put her in the back.
She told me to move up here. I think that what has happened for us, and I use that as openly for all of us, is that people came before us that allowed us to be here and discussing these things openly. And just think that what we're going to leave the next generation, hopefully they're going to be better than we are, more conscious of what went on and how we struggled to become what we are, and open and caring. And we care about everybody in this room, whether we know them or not. Because this is my brothers and my sisters. You're my family. You know, and I don't know you, but I know you because you're just like me.
Question.
You know, and what I was going to say now, I don't know if I lived in Florida or if I lived here, because I get a little confused. But there was an area, and I believe it was in Florida, where they were having a lot of problems with drugs. And the police department decided that they were going to go down there and set up speakers and go down late at night and play music.
That was in Florida here.
Okay, in Florida, they played music, and those drug people left because they played things like the opera. They played Mozart. They played things that they did not want to hear. And they moved. They got out.
But you know, and those strategies work. But part of that is they move somewhere else.
They moved down to the state too, and they got rid of them.
I was just going to piggyback on what you said about we have to advocate for ourselves, and we do. And there are organizations that if you don't know about, you need to get plugged into. Two organizations that are co-sponsoring tonight. MECPAC, the local political action committee for gay, lesbian equality, which helped get sexual orientation added to the city's non-discrimination and employment policy. And then HRC, who's here tonight. It is up to us. We can't expect these great police officers who are employed by us, the citizens, the taxpayers, to do it all. It is a partnership, and we have to be willing to carry our weight. So I really encourage you to get involved with local advocacy to make these things happen.
Yeah, I was just going to add to something that Chief was saying there before. I've been part of groups interviewing both of the sheriff candidates, for example, and who were both very receptive to their discussions with us as they were, talking to us during hour-long or so interviews. And they claimed, I mean, I can't speak to it, that they have been developing policies along the lines of the kinds of things that we have been talking about tonight. So there is a basis for working with the sheriff, whoever that may be.
The difference there is that there was only from officers on that.
Well, yeah, then they have to deliver.
I have to tell you something that I'm not going to do. I'm committed to this, and that's something that we're going to do. And by the way, I have a great deal of respect for Sheriff Bailey, and he was a part of the CIT initiative, and he has a willingness to look to make his community safe as possible also. And that's what it's all about. It's about public safety. And I think that every citizen has that right to be safe in their community, regardless of what issue, regardless of who may try to hurt you within your community. But it is a partnership. The expectation is that, we want somebody else to come in and can solve a problem for us. It's not going to happen as easily as it can if all of us work together.
Any person who hasn't asked the question that they would like to, because we got people that want to filibuster.
Mine's was short.
That's impossible, I know.
When the suicides of young gay people all across the country has been in the news nationally and locally for a while now, at least for the past month. And I grew up in Winston-Salem, which is a much smaller town, a much more conservative town, and had so many problems with my